Let's move forward here, though, Mo, with week 17, and we're going to begin with Thursday night football. The New York Jets, what's left of them, are heading on the road to take on the Cleveland Browns. We have a spread in this one now sitting at 7. Total in this game, a very low 36.5. I suppose that's where it has to be when it's a game involving the New York Jets, but your weather report also just came out on thelines.com here on Tuesday afternoon. Pretty clear skies and no precipitation, not much wind. And for a late December game in Cleveland, that's pretty much all you can ask for. So that's not pushing this total down. We've talked about in recent weeks how pass heavy the Browns have been with Joe Flacco at quarterback. So their totals have been sailing over. But to get to an over here, you got to probably hope that the Jets offense does something. So what's your just initial reaction here to this line moving up from the 6.5 range on the look ahead in the early open, now all the way up to 7 for Cleveland?
Yeah, I believe as low as 5.5 actually.
Wow.
So I'm a little bit tempted. There's a 7.5 on the Jets. It's minus 120, I think, at DraftKings. I'm a little bit tempted to play the Jets, but I'm also just like looking at the Jets, knowing Jacoby Brissett just shredded them. 20-point comebacks being allowed to Washington is a pretty rough look. And now you have a really bad offense, short week on the road against a team that is defending at historic levels at home, for sure. Every time I watch Joe Flacco, I just can't figure out what's going on because it feels like a Joe Flacco implosion is like a step away. He's still making a lot of mistakes and really bad throws, but some absolutely absurd throws as well. I mean, that last game, some of those throws he was making are on the sideline into pretty good coverage against Houston were just completely outrageous. But the mistakes against this Jets D are also pretty scary. Like, they really punish you for those mistakes. A lot of ball hawks in the secondary, a lot of strong pass rush up front. But man, if this is Trevor Siemian, I mean, he is so bad. All he did was basically hand off and dump off to Breece Hall. Breece Hall had 1 million touches. He had 12 catches, I think. I mean, that's not going to work against the Browns. Like, I'm facing Breece in a fantasy final this week, and that I'm just like licking my chops on that matchup. I'm like, I hope my opponent's like excited to play Breece. I mean, he has a very strong, deep team, obviously, since we're in the finals. But it's like, I don't think it's like out of line to play somebody over Breece this week. I
agree.
I ultimately probably just won't bet this, but yeah, I mean, the Browns being a touchdown favorite, it does kind of make sense if you just look at this matchup of this Jets offense against this Browns defense. I do not know how the Jets are going to move the ball at all in this game.
Yeah, I agree with you on Flacco. I've been kind of seeing the same thing, right? Like, if you look at EPA and CPOE composite this year of quarterbacks with at least 150 plays, he's 27th out of 40. So not great, but also not PJ Walker and not Dorian Thompson-Robinson bad, right? So it's certainly an improvement, but it doesn't mean that he's league average. In terms of success rate, he's 28th out of 40 quarterbacks, and he has a negative CPOE. His completion percentage over expected is 38th, only ahead of Kyler Murray and Aiden O'Connell. So it's just like Stefanski's YOLO ball in this, man. Like, he's just saying, what else do we have to lose at this point? I'm on my 4th quarterback who actually has some passing experience in the league. And I actually want to get your take here on something I've been thinking about in the futures market. I know you have Bills Super Bowl futures, but right now it looks like the Browns are probably going to be the 5 seed. They would go on the road to take on the AFC South champ, which still looks like it's the Jags to lose, even though they're going backwards right now. They have an easy schedule to finish out. So that's a pretty winnable game for the Browns. And then depending on what happens in what's the projected Bills-Chiefs game in the 3-6, if the Bills were to win that, then they would go to take on the Ravens. If the Bills lose that, then it would be the Browns that go and take on the Ravens. So I don't think I want to back the Browns against like potentially Miami in a divisional game. I don't think their blitz would get or their pass rush would get home with Tua holding the ball. But I think there's at least a path here where the Browns could go pretty deep into the playoffs with what you and I probably think the Ravens being a little bit overrated in market at this point.
Yeah, I mean, the Browns, they're not scared of the Ravens. I mean,
Right.
they walked into their stadium and kind of punked them in the second half for sure. So, they're not scared of the Ravens. And I think maybe the Chiefs might be kind of a bad matchup for them if they were to end up facing the Chiefs somehow, although that seems like it would be tough. But I mean, you can't really count the Browns out because of the big plays that Flacco is producing and how strong their defense is. It's tough to live that way, like in a multiple game stretch, though, like you were saying about success rate. I mean, I think
could we get to the championship game? That's the question. Because then you have options. Because the ticket right now, you can get 25-1 Browns AFC.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. 3 games would be tough. It's just tough to string together that many wins without, consistently moving the sticks, like you were saying, with the success rate. But when you have the high end plays and when you have the defense that's going to travel, I think they're probably live against anybody.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I think the path might be there. Like I said, like the way you got to remember, everybody, the NFL playoffs are not a fixed bracket. So the lowest remaining team goes to the 1 seed, and that would not be the Browns if the Bills pull an upset as well as a lower seed wild card team. So, if the Browns play the Dolphins, if that's what the path might be, like a lot of this is just dependent on what happens with the Bills in their game. So, and we're not going to know that betting futures, but at 25-1, I might sprinkle this and roll the dice a little bit. If I do, I will certainly post it in the lines.com Discord, which you can find for free in the top right-hand corner of the lines.com homepage.